very good morning to you and welcome. This is Daybreak Benue, and Benue Television is back here with this program. It's a place where we reach out to you on a daily basis or throughout the weekdays so that you get to be informed about what's happening in Nigeria and the world over. And so today we will take a look at what happens to the local government administration when it comes to tenure. And our focus is going to be on Rivers State, where we have had a litmus test of what is supposed to be the tenure of the local government chairman, especially the caretaker chairman in Rivers State. A lot of drama has taken place, and other states would need to borrow a leaf or learn a lesson or two. Ever since the inception of politics, this particular dispensation in Nigeria, there has been series of drama in Rivers State. And so today we intend to take a look at what has happened to the 23 local government chairmen in Rivers State at the expiration of their tenure and the drama that has taken place thus far. We have analysts who are going to come to the studios to do justice with a very important topic. My name is Japheth Kwaho.
Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Benue Television. My name is Maureen.
Yes, Maureen, good morning. Yeah.
How are you?
You look good.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have a lot before us here. The task is quite arduous because we need to let the people know exactly what's happening in Rivers State, and not just let them know what's happening in Rivers State, what they need to learn from the activities politically in Rivers State. It has been an interesting scenario right from the takeoff of Governor Similaye Fubara's administration and the drama that has always ensued between him and his godfather in court, Nyesin Ezanwawike, who is the immediate past governor of Rivers State. The man who has said he's one of the oldest in the forest and wants to be in charge. And Fubara is also saying the era of godfatherism is over. I have to take full charge of the state and also demonstrate my powers as the executive governor of the state in full. I know you are interested in the drama.
Well, what is happening in Rivers is kind of unfortunate. Unfortunate in the sense that this is more than a year, since Governor Fubara took over the reins of leadership in the Rivers State, and he's been having this unending, consistent back and forth drama with his so-called godfather, like you said in quote, Mr. Nyesom Wike, who is the Minister for FCT in the cabinet of President Bola Tinubu. And I really feel for the people of Rivers State because they shouldn't be going through all of this drama for 1 year consistently. If it's not the governor, it is Wike. If it's not Wike, it's the House of Assembly. If it's not the House of Assembly, it's somebody close to the two of them. And I find it disturbing because it has gone on for 1 year, and right now the APC is calling on President Bola Tinubu to, wade into the crisis, and it doesn't speak well of the political culture of that state, and it doesn't speak well of the political acumen, or let me say the political leadership of the two men involved, that is Governor Fubara and Mr. Wike.
Yeah. Because
Mr. Wike, like you said, a very old tree in the forest, should be using his, let me say, his age positively, but unfortunately it is not being used positively, and his body language is, let me say it in this way, I don't give a damn.
Yes.
That's his body language, and unfortunately, like I said, it's unfortunate for the people of Rivers State and unfortunate for Nigeria because we shouldn't be having this kind of drama going on. And what I find, another disturbing element of it is that Governor Fubara is the first governor of Ijaw extraction in a very long time.
No, simply put, is the first governor coming from the minute minority in Rivers State.
I'm heading towards there, and unlike where Igwe have always held sway the politics of Rivers State, and now that he is on board, you can see that everybody that is of Ijaw extraction, even those from Bayelsa State, have come into Rivers to lend their support to Fubara. Well, like like you said, these are interesting times, so it remains to be seen if President Bola Tinubu is going to wade into the matter, because I do not see Mr. Nyeso Wiki giving any concession to Fubara anytime soon.
Well, it's left for distinguished analysts to do justice to that. We can't preempt everything. Otherwise, there are salient questions that just once you answer them, you put to rest the crisis in Rivers State. Well, the truth of the matter is that we have a number one citizen in that state, and just like we have number one citizen here in the state, His Excellency Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Malia. And so, for whatever happens politically in terms of leadership here in the state, administratively and otherwise, we look up to him. It should apply to every state, not only Benue, not only Ondo State. It should be applicable to River State. River State is not different from other states, apart from the fact that it's an oil-rich state. I know it's possible that political actors may want to fight over, the avalanche.
It doesn't belong to one person.
It doesn't belong to one person.
Yeah.
It belongs to the people of River State.
Yes.
And so the people of River State should always be made to decide what happens in that state. It shouldn't be about a few individuals. It's not about Fubara. It's not about Wike. It's not about APC as a political party. It's not about PDP as a political party. It's about the masses in River State.
Yeah.
The oil-rich region is also meant for all and sundry. The oil is not meant for one person to, enjoy from it. It's meant for even Nigeria as a whole. And so, but I perceive, coming from a state where it's the second richest in Nigeria. Yes, it shows that anyone who is a selfish politician would want to fight over it, because it's like a gold, spot where everybody wants to tap from it. But I think if Fubara truly needs to make things happen for the River State people, this is about time to correct the history and correct the wrongs. And if Wike truly wants the state to be transformed, state to become a truly democratic state, this is about the time to rewrite the history of River State. I like enjoying talking about River State because it shares a Siamese history with Benue. Almost everything is the same. 23 local governments, and even council wards are almost the same. So we will take a look at this when our guests are finally seated. We shall do some analysis. Let's go on a break very quickly. We will return shortly. Stay with us.
These are suspected kidnappers alongside internet fraudsters arrested recently from Otukpo local government and Makurdi respectively in the last 1 week. Police Public Relations Officer Benue State Command SP Sewese Anene said on Thursday the 13th of June 2024, the command received information that a Benue-linked vehicle conveying passengers from Onitsha to Makurdi was attacked by gunmen who suddenly emerged from a nearby forest around Ojano, Oglo, in Otukpo local government area of Benue State. The gunmen shot at the vehicle, causing the vehicle to stop at the forest, where the driver of the vehicle sustained gunshot injuries and later died, while the passengers were kidnapped.
Investigation into that case began until on the 17th of June, when some suspected kidnappers were trailed to Otukpo local government, where they were about boarding a vehicle. About 3 of them were arrested in connection with the case.
The spokesperson for the Commissioner of Police said during investigation, 9 suspects were rescued, who later identified the suspect as they tried to board a vehicle at a motor park in Otukpo local government area. Anene said the 3 suspects, Saleh Hassan, Yakubu Kande, Yunusa Idris, all of Kiana local government area of Nasarawa State, were trailed and arrested in connection with the incident.
During that operation, 9 victims were rescued in the course of that operation. And some of them identified these suspects as being part of the team that kidnapped them.
Among the suspects paraded are this group of internet fraudsters arrested from a hideout at Key Village along Naka Road in Makurdi, barely 2 weeks after the police busted an internet fraudster academy in Makurdi. Commissioner CP Yabanet, however, warned that his command will not tolerate a situation where innocent citizens were being defrauded.
They are more than internet fraudsters. So investigation will unravel why they have ammunition in their possession and who owns that.
Investigation into the various cases are ongoing and suspects will be charged to court. Meanwhile, items recovered from the suspected fraudsters include 2 iPhones, 5 laptops, different ATM cards suspected to be used for fraud, and 5 9mm live ammunition, while a sum of over 500,000 naira was recovered from the suspected kidnappers. Martha Iku, Benue Television News, Makede.
Welcome back to the studios of Benue Television. We are very glad indeed that we are back here in the studios to talk to you about what's happening in Nigeria. Sometimes we go all out to take a look at what's happening in other states. Today, we will be taking a peek on what's taking place in Rivers State. Rivers State is one of the states in Nigeria that is full of drama, because we have 2 very prominent, political actors in that state that are actually on stage, and both are refusing to leave the stage. We would know who leaves the stage first. A lot has happened in the past, and a lot is still happening. Rivers State coincidentally happens to have 23 local governments, just like Benue State. It shares almost a similar history, even in creation, almost around the same time. Today, we are taking a look at the issue of, local government tenure, issues that we have in Rivers State, and how this can also help other states to improve on the local government administration and more. We have so far in the House Joseph Bayo, who is the former, Secretary NDA Makurdi chapter, and of course the Chief Executive, the Transmitters newspaper. We'd like to welcome you to the studios of Benue Television.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
It's great indeed having you. You have been away for quite some time.
Yeah.
It is not right for me to say there is a need for you to, say something to our viewer that will please them, because they must have missed you quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, having welcomed you, you'll be joined later by Barrister Timothy Amatimin, who will do this discussion and analysis with you. I know you're always in the news and you're always out for the news.
Yeah.
A lot has happened in Rivers State.
Yeah.
The APC, the PDP have locked horns. Governor Fubara and of course his supposed, godfather, talking about Nyesin Ezonwa Wike, have not agreed ever since the inception of this present administration. What do you think legally has happened to the tenure of the immediate past chairman in Rivers State? Do you think what has happened is right legally? And do you also think that Governor Fubara Similae is also correct to have swiftly inaugurated a new caretaker government?
If you look at the theories of law, the protagonists of law, those who have handed to us what we are professing today as law, have looked at law from different angles, and it's just like the literary story of the people who went to watch the elephants. All of them have a description of what the elephant is.
Yes.
So if you look at the definition of law by various scholars, for me, one of them stands out when it comes to politics. And that is the definition by Karl Marx. And Karl Marx said law is an instrument in the hands of the bourgeoisie. So oftentimes, what do they use the law for? They can use it to do anything. And possibly he was of the opinion that oftentimes the bourgeoisie uses the law to suppress the peasants. But again, just like one of the literary scholars again looked at law, that law is an ass. It is the direction you beat it to or direct it to that it will go. So here is a situation in Rivers State where looking at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 7 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that has defined the local government system to say, look, for the local government system to be well administered, same must be done through a democratically elected system. So you give it to the former governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Wike, when he conducted the local government election. But I'll come back to that later. Then you look at what the functions of the local government are, and the same Section 7 of the Constitution also said the functions of the local government are contained in the 4th schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is to provide a roadmap towards economic development of the local government system. But of course, there must be no lacuna in any governance. So now the State House of Assembly is empowered by the Constitution to make laws, that will govern the administration of the local government.
Yes.
And here we have the Rivers State Local Government Law number 5 of 2018, which has been purportedly amended by the State House of Assembly. And what does that law say? The law said, okay, and particularly in section...
When was the amendment done?
The amendment was done in 2000. The purported amendment was done.
How do you say purported? Was it not rightly done?
Yeah, purported because the governor declined assent to that amendment that was done earlier this year in 2024. Hold on.
Okay,
and the State House of Assembly, whose status of membership is currently a subject of, so have now veto the powers of the executive governor to pass that bill pursuant to Section 100.
So wasn't that legal?
Of the Constitution, So, and that is where the confusion now lies.
No,
because
the question is, wasn't it legal for them to have done that? The veto.
It's legal. It's legal under if the atmosphere is right. And don't forget that issue has also been a subject of litigation, So all these issues are there.
And the vetoing?
Yes, and all these issues are yet to be resolved, So it's just one step confusion to another, So here is a law that has prescribed 3 years for local government, democratically elected local government, which was done pursuant to the Constitution, where the Constitution has given powers to the State House of Assembly to make laws to govern the administration of local government. Now, it is just right to say that, okay, the tenure of these persons is over, pursuant to this law. Now, let's look at it both from the legal and from the moral lens.
Good.
Is it not just right to say, okay, these people, because their tenure is over, they will just walk away peacefully?
Yes.
For the overriding interest of the public, in order not to create confusion or perhaps bring in actions that will further lead to breakdown of law and order. And we will now ask, is your interest way and over the soul of your local government, which is the general public? So, in my own opinion, I think it is just right for the governor to have said, okay, as a matter of necessity, because the issue of caretaker chairmanship, much as it's not founded in the constitution, is also within the doctrine of necessity to pave way for administrative convenience, to say, okay, within this period, let's have some people who will administer the system. The system perhaps cannot be vacuum, and within this period we'll conduct the local government election. And in this case, there has been series of issues. There has been series of political unrest in Rivers State that has not guaranteed any safety to say perhaps elections will be conducted.
I'm very happy that you said the caretaker administration is quite illegal. It's not because it's not found in the constitution.
Yeah, it's not.
But this is what has continued in this country since the inception of democracy. Why is it so? And I may ask, why is the tenure of the local government, executives very short? Is this an independent tier of government by the constitution, by what we have seen in the constitution? Why is it that when it comes to their tenure, it's always shorter than what the governors are enjoying?
Okay, remember that there has been several attempts to amend the constitution to pave way for the full autonomy of the local government system. But the same state houses of assembly members refuse to give their two-third resolution to that effect.
Why?
Perhaps for their own personal reasons, which I don't know.
So what do they have to enjoy at the local government, if not the executive governors? Don't you think this is coming from the governors to the state houses of assembly? What interest would the state house of assembly have at the local? At
the state houses of assembly members now saying they are subservient under the governor, when the constitution has clearly given them the doctrine of separation of powers is clearly there.
Based
the
on
constitutional provisions as per section 4 of the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which has given legislative powers.
So having the state assemblies being susceptible to the governors before, based on what you have been following politics in the states.
Yes, when it comes to their own independence.
Yes.
The independence of the legislature. Why were they quick in doing that? Why were they not quick at giving their resolution to the local government system? Why are they now crying more than the bereaved? These are the questions we should ask. Is it today? Is it in 2004 that the Rivers State House of Assembly will remember that they are to amend the law establishing the local government system to pave way? Is it today that they know? Are they just remembering?
I was even.
And why is it coming? And why is it coming now that the sitting governor of the state has a problem with his predecessor? Why is it coming now?
So don't you think that the state house of assembly in Rivers State, ipso facto, is overriding the interests of the public? Because, like you're rightly saying, they are now overriding the assent of the governor, which they shouldn't. But like you said, there's a legal, let me say, what do you call it, doctrine of necessity that allows them to do that. But they shouldn't have done that. Looking at it now, having established the fact that the state house of assembly did override, the assent of the governor towards that bill, don't you think that the state house of assembly, like you're rightly saying again, is overriding the interest of the public to let me think of the proper word, to perpetuate this system of confusion that has happened ever since the inception of Governor Fubara?
Well, if I get your question rightly, let us also question the reason for Governor Fubara withholding his assent to the bill.
You can go ahead.
The governor, there are many reasons where the governor can withhold assent. If he feels that it is not in the good interest of the public, he can decide to withhold the assent. And this one, let us look at it carefully. Are we saying that it is in the interest of the public that the tenure of those local government chairmen be extended? Are we saying that?
But they are crying wolf that it's not fair to them.
How would it not be fair to them if 3 years? And this is let's be. For me, I don't just argue things. Let's look at this. Governor Fubara, upon assumption of office, May 29, 2003, could have in 3 months remove this chairman. He never did that. He respected the law. He obeyed the law. And which law? The River State Local Government, River State Local Government Law number 5 of 2018. He respected that law to say, no, I am not going to do anything that is unconstitutional here or is illegal here. I will allow the expiration of the tenure of these people in office. And he allowed it. And he did not equally withhold their monies. Because if he had done that, they would have equally cried out. He didn't withhold their money because the development of the local government is quite paramount to him. So let's give that to him. Now, these people's tenure is over. The tenure is over.
Lawfully over.
Lawfully over.
Yes.
Why are they insisting to remain in office?
Don't you think that?
I'd like to ask, do you remember when the same local government chairman passed the vote of confidence on the executive governor, Fubara Similaye?
All these things are political gimmicks. They are political gimmicks. You know, like I said, when you look at law, you know, when it favors you is always right. Yeah. That's the Nigerian mentality. If it doesn't favor you, it's not right. And in this context, if Governor Fubara, from the inception of his, from him, the day he came into office, requested for a probe of the local government and decide that he will use the same law to remove them from office, would he have been a better governor? Would his decision would have adjudged to be the best? But he allowed them complete their tenure. Why are you passing vote of no confidence on him when the man had not tempered with your tenure,
Don't you think that
had not withhold your income, and as well as other benefits, you know, and now your tenure is over, and you now want to rely on a controversial amendment bill? I call it controversial because the issue of the status of the membership of those State House of Assembly is in contention as to whether or not they still remain members of the River State House of Assembly, that is the 27 of them, right? Or whether them vetoing the powers of the governor pursuant to section 100 of the Constitution is in the interest of the public. That is the controversiality, right? And because of that, nobody can sustain anything on that. So the appropriate thing to do is for those local government, 23 local government, to pave way, to move, so that there will be a smooth transition process. And that is what the governor is trying to do.
now Governor Fubara, apart from officially inaugurated the 23 caretaker chairman,
Yeah.
he has given his full assurance that elections should be held.
Exactly.
Apart from that, he has also ordered the audit of the local government funds from the erstwhile administration of those past 23 local governments. So don't you think that these are indices that he actually wants to follow the rule of law in the interest of the people? So why all this contention? Because from my own observation, I do see, apart from the fact that the House of Assembly have their own seats in contention, I do see that from what I am observing, that there seems to be a power, apart from the fact that there is a power struggle, but it seems like the Minister of FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, is using his influence to bear on the State House of Assembly, which shouldn't be the case.
Not at all, and I agree with you, or perhaps I cannot agree with you less, because you see, I keep saying this thing. I've said it over and over, and I will never stop saying it. When you are confronted with 3 loyalties: the loyalty to your state, the loyalty to your political party, or the loyalty to your conscience, where will you tilt it, or to what direction will you tilt your loyalty to when you are confronted with this? Yes, you want your political structures to remain. But is it, you're doing that, is it in the interest of your state or the general public? Or in doing that, is so satisfying, you are satisfying your conscience? So let us be honest. Yes, I agree. Maybe Governor Fubara may have done one or two things or taken one or two steps that may be adjudged to be wrong. But in my own opinion,
adjudged to be wrong on the part of Mr. Nyesom Wike,
on the part of Nyesom Wike and his supporters. But is it enough to throw the baby away with the bath water? Is it enough to threaten the soul of the state over and above political interest or political loyalty? Let us be sincere. If Governor Fubara, like I earlier said, upon his assumption of office, had made attempt to remove the local government chairman, we would have raised a big question mark. What is he trying to do? He never did that. He never withheld their revenue. He never withheld any of their benefit. He allowed them to enjoy their tenure to the end. And now you are saying you are holding on to that office. Well, a few of the chairmen have said they are willing to leave office. Fair to them. But is it enough to cause any rancor? And all this political turmoil that is currently going on in the states, has it gone too bad that the two elephants cannot come together and sit down and said our action is not telling well on the interest of the state? Let us drop it way and above that interest of the state.
I'd also
Can
like
they
to
do
chip
that?
in here, because don't you think that Mr. Nyesom Wike, who is also a barrister himself, a learned man of the law, don't you think that this is at variance with who he is as a person, or let me say, with who he is as a lawyer, because he knows the law very well, and he ought to know that as a serving minister, his responsibility and duties lie more at the federal. Yes, he was a former governor of the state, but even at that, the overriding interest is that the people of Rivers State must go forward.
Well, we should be careful here, because if we said that, if we accused him directly, where he may ask you, of course, he may have made one or two utterances in the public domain, but he may ask you that where you should point directly to him, where you have found him responsible for the crisis, or any correspondence he has done linking him with that. But we all know the metaphor behind all of this. We know that all of this is politically motivated. And these political issues can as well be given political solution. And those political solutions could be a dialogue, a healthy dialogue, understanding, based on the fact that the interest of the states is under threat. Now, some group of people are calling for state of emergency over Rivers State. Has it gone to that level?
Yes, and that was the next question I was going to ask you. This is marking the second time the Rivers people are calling on Mr. President to wade into a political situation which could be solved at the state level. I like to know, don't you think the Rivers people are undermining the person and status of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Other states have problems too. And the manner they call on Mr. President to come in to their local issues, this is something that concerns local government administration. And the governor is at the helm of affair. Don't you think it's wrong reporting the matter directly to Mr. President and calling on him to come to wade into the political situation of Rivers State?
Except if the supporters of the various political parties are saying that let us deploy this as a strategy to take over the political home of Rivers State, because perhaps if Section 305 of the Constitution is invoked and state of emergency declared, which I have not seen any reason why that should be done, it then means Governor Fubara will lose his powers and another political structure will emerge. But will that breed peace? Will that give peace a chance in River State? Will that bring development in River State?
I like to ask you,
will that take River State forward?
Is there any provision in the Constitution that allows for an interim state executive in the capacity of the governor? Because I have not come across it.
Well, if the state of emergency is declared, that is the situation.
But is it lawful? Do we have that in the Constitution?
It is only to the extent where there is total breakdown of law and order.
Which is not the case in River
Which is not the case in River State.
Good. And that's why.
And some people are now saying, because I read some comments from the All Progressives Congress supporters saying that the situation in River State is a warlike situation. And I asked, what is warlike here? Yes, during the attackation, as seen in the various local government, yeah, 1 or 2 lives have been lost, which is quite disturbing. That people, especially security personnel, should not lose their life in the course of their duties. It's quite unfortunate. But has the situation gone so bad that we now call for a state of emergency in River State? I think it's driving too far. The only thing that can happen here, this is the problem of ego manifestation. It's a problem of ego, political ego manifestation.
You mean on both the part of
the part of the governor and the part of the supporters of
no. But that goes contrary with, to your statement.
Hold on first.
Because you said
let me land.
Okay.
I said part of the is ego manifestation because continuously, if as the governor, which to some extent we appreciate, but what is it that he has done that these people are not so comfortable with, and he is not ready to make amend?
Who are the people not comfortable?
I mean the governor.
And then the other
who are the people not comfortable with him?
Perhaps the supporters of His Excellency Ezon Wike. Now, what is so difficult that these people cannot come together? What is so difficult? This is a man that did everything, except they are telling the public that they have some cockroaches in their cupboard that only them, between the governor and His Excellency Ezon Wike can explain. Only them can explain. Other than that, there is nothing on earth. There is no political problem on earth that cannot be settled.
And I'd like to ask you, the interest of the Rivers people is supreme.
Yeah.
Based on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I agree with you.
And the laws of Rivers State.
Yeah.
Why is it that the cart is being placed before the horse? Is the interest of Fubara and of course that of Wike supposed to override the masses in Rivers State?
And that is what I said earlier, that these are 3 loyalties. They have one to their political parties. So it's about the game of PDP and APC. It shouldn't be so.
But don't you think that's making a mockery of the Rivers people who did vote Fubara?
Hold on a bit. Then we have that of the state, which is the people. And look at the beauty of Section 14 of the Constitution. You have a social contract with the people to fulfill the entirety of Chapter 2 of the Constitution, which borders on the fundamental, objective, and direct principles of state policies. That at the moment is partly neglected because everybody wants to tilt his loyalty or her loyalty in favor of the political parties. What of that of the conscience? If really they sat and said, my interest does not in any way override the interest of the public, then Rivers will not have this crisis. They will sit on the round table and, or perhaps go back to the drawing board where they started the political journey from and where they started getting it wrong. And everybody will be willing and honest to own up to his or her responsibilities. To say, here I have wronged. His Excellency Nyesom Wike, I have wronged you in this direction. His Excellency Nyesom Wike will say to His Excellency Governor Siminari Fubarada, yes, I have wronged you in this direction.
But recall that there was a time that
let the interest of the state, the people we are governing, the people we are ruling over, should override.
Would you say that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also enjoying the drama that is taking place in Rivers State, because his body language seemed to be quite very calm towards it, apart from the pact that was signed, which, you know, a human being is not bound by a pact, by the Constitution of Nigeria. Nothing has been said by Mr. President to date. What do you make of his body language to
because
the Rivers
language
crisis?
Is neutral. He's not leaning to the left, he's leaning to the right.
The president is not even supposed to, in the first place, seen or perceived to have taken side with any of the contenders. That is what is expected of him to be done as a father of the nation. That's what is expected of him. Except if the political party under which he has won election is seeing some perceived political gain from it, and they are not advising the president properly. That is one.
You think that is the case?
Secondly, I'm not saying that is the case. I'm saying if there is a perceive, there's a if conditioner there. Now, look at the beauty of it. Here is a state, Rivers State, with a sitting governor in the People's Democratic Party, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and the spokesman of the president. All are from one state.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. Who should gain from this? Is it not Rivers State? Why are they now finding it difficult
The question directly
to sit together?
No, you left the question,
Yes.
Barrister Obayo. The question was,
I'm coming to the question.
Okay.
Whether or not, your question is whether or not the president is folding hand and watching, or he's enjoying the drama.
yes,
And I'm laying foundation to that.
yes,
That except if there is a perceived political gain, other than that, I don't think the president should say, or anybody should say, that the president is enjoying the drama. Haven't taken step to bring the two parties together. What I'm now saying is that the both parties, the both warring parties, should see and understand that we are the one losing here. Because as far as the president is concerned, even when the president was contesting or contested under the All Progressive Congress, he still enjoyed tremendous support.
that's all right. I think we are due for a break now, so that we can pave the way for Barrister Timothy Amartinin to also join the discussion. I wish he was also from the very beginning, so that we can build the foundation to this discussion together. But of course, we will give him a preamble of what has happened, so that he can build up from there. Let's go on a break very quickly. We'll be right back to continue with our discussion in the house.
Benue Fashion Show Season 3 is here.
It's that time of the year for fashion designers, entrepreneurs, and fashion enthusiasts to shine.
This year, sale of forms for the competition begins from 15th April to 30th June 2024.
Pick a form at Benue Television, located at Special Duties Wing, Government House, Makudi. Form cost 5,000 Naira only.
Stage 1 screening begins on the 6th of July 2024. Great prizes await you.
The first prize, 1 million Naira. Second prize, 500,000 Naira. And third prize, 300,000 Naira. All prizes are inclusive of cash and fashion tools. Also, consolation prizes and gift items.
For sponsorship, partnership and inquiries, please call Benue TV Marketing on 0906 188 9838 or 0703 794 5569. Benue Fashion Show, embracing fusion fashion.
Welcome back to the studios. This is Benue Television and it's our flagship program, Daybreak Benue. This is where we analyze issues that are bordering directly on the nation. Today we have decided to take a look at what's happening in the political theater of Rivers State, and we are trying to establish the legality or otherwise of the issue of local government tenure, logjam, and the Rivers State is really the focus on this discussion. Remember, we share a similar identity of having 23 local government areas, and the only difference is that their, wards and the local, councils are not the same as ours. That's talking about, the councillors are more in number than what we have here in the state. Now, Barrister Timothy Atimin has joined the discussion. He's a legal practitioner and, of course, a Benue television ambassador, who is going to also talk to us about this. Barrister Martini, I'm happy that you have been following our discussion while you were on your way to the studios. A lot has been discussed, but a lot is still left to be discussed. The last question I had thrown to your learned colleague was whether or not the president is interested or is enjoying the drama that is unfolding in Rivers State. Ever since the signing of the pact, that's all that has been done. The terms in the pact are not being fully complied with. But I was also trying to say here that the pact is not greater than the Constitution. It behooves on one to, keep to a pact or not. But the Constitution is sacrosanct. So let's dwell more on the Constitution. What do you think Mr. President is supposed to do to this crisis that is happening? And what do you think Nelson Wike and, of course, Fubara are supposed to do to be able to put this off Rivers State?
Okay, thank you very much. I had listened carefully to what my brother and my classmate, his point and submission on various issues that have been raised.
Yeah.
And just to kickstart my own discussion on the topic, it is very instructive for us to appreciate the fact that what is playing out in Rivers State has more of political undertone, and some of the key players are the forces behind what is playing out in Rivers State. And Rivers State, provides for us, some group of absurdity and some legal quagmire that only the court at the moment can give us a sense of direction as to what is happening in Rivers State.
Can you say like the litmus test?
Yes, and the courage of the judiciary will put to rest some of these issues. And you recall why I may not even blame the president for his current stand on the issue, or maybe his silence on the issue, is because personally I had questioned his intervention. Because you can't, by any way of agreement, give any validity to an unconstitutional act. Because if the Constitution has provided for a particular thing to happen, if a particular event has occurred, as a president you can't subvert or agree to something contrary to what the Constitution has provided for. So if you look at the pact that was entered into between the pro-Wike faction and then the Fubara team and group, you get to see to it that, for me, it was agreeing to commit or sustain an unconstitutional act.
You think the president gave it some legal kind of backing?
And in fact, he does not even have the powers to give any legal backing to an unconstitutional act. So I believe it was the criticism that threw that decision of the president, or the intervention of the president, that made him to stand, by and then watch what is playing out in Rivers State.
So clearly, why do you call that act unconstitutional? Let's establish why it is unconstitutional.
Because the Constitution is very clear on the issue of defection by the State House of Assembly members. It has provided abundantly clear that upon defection, except your defection is premised on some exceptions, the issue of division in your political party or a merger, as the case may be, these are the only premise or grounds upon which you can defect and still maintain your seat. Now, interestingly, the subject matter under consideration is in court, and we expect that the judiciary will quickly address some of these competing legal interests, presented by the warring parties, if I may put it that way. So, the intervention at that point in time, they were moves, withdraw the pending cases and all that, and then, in fact, the issue of the chairman too, were under consideration. There was an agreement to the effect that they should maintain and run their tenure till it expires, and then you see some of the interesting things that are playing out. What the House of Assembly in Rivers State did was tenure elongation, which they do not have such powers, because the Constitution is very clear on the issue of tenure elongation. Okay. Even in the case of the president, the Constitution provides when Nigeria is at war, then the National Assembly have the powers to extend the tenure of the president by 6 months. That is when Nigeria is at war. And if you ask me, there is no war happening in Rivers State to warrant the amendment of the local government law of Rivers State, adding an additional period of time to the elected local government chairman that their tenure has expired. Now, you look at the interesting narrative that is playing out. The action of the so-called remaining lawmakers, the majority lawmakers, who defected by way of their public announcement and admission, even on television, that they are no longer members of the PDP, but members of the APC. It was, for me, if you ask me, a legislative rascality on their part to attempt to usurp the powers of the people. Because recall, the chairmen were elected by the people for 3 years. No other extension or period of time. That was the mandate their people gave them as chairman. Now, it does not lie in the hands, on the mouth of the State House of Assembly to add or subtract the tenure that the electorate gave the local government chairman. So any form of amendment by the State House of Assembly, purportedly, for me, is an illegality and won't be sustained. And lovers of democracy should criticize such move. Because you recall, when we talk about national election in Nigeria, the president cannot extend his tenure by 1 day. He can't. He was elected on May 29. He was sworn in on May 29, 2023, right? Around this time in the next 4 years, he is going to hand over whether he likes it or not. And it does not even lie in the hands or powers of the National Assembly to elongate his tenure, except when Nigeria is at war.
Now, Barrister Amatini, let me chip in here. Don't you think that public, like you just said, there's this public display of legal rascality? Yeah. Don't you think that public display gives credence to the fact that these so-called people, these so-called lawmakers, do not have respect for the rule of law? Like you rightly admitted and rightly established, these lawmakers have been elected by the will of their people to represent them. So under no circumstance do they have that right to come on public television and declare publicly that they're defecting from one party to another. Now, having established that, don't you think that this gives credence to the fact that they do not have respect for the rule of law, which of course is now furthering endangering the Rivers people and also encouraging this political turmoil and intrigue that is going on in the state?
Let me fine-tune your premise a little.
Okay.
They have the right to defect. It is their constitutional right to associate. Insofar as the group you are associating with is not an unlawful society or association.
Right.
Therefore, it is within their constitutional right to defect. But the implication is that when you defect without coming under the exception, then you stand to lose your seat. Now, for me, the affected, is it 25 or 26? 27 lawmakers are matured adults who know their left and right, and they should appreciate the consequences of their action. And the action here, we are talking about defection. So having defected, they know the legal implication of that. However, they are in court, and we expect that quickly the court will make pronouncement on that. I think in a couple of days, the Court of Appeal will make a pronouncement on that issue. So we expect to to see what the court will give interpretation to their action. However, an average Nigerian politician, you just have very few Nigerian politicians who respect the law. Just very few of them. And we are selective in observance of our laws. When it's convenient, we abide with it. When it's not convenient, we discard it.
Yes.
And it's very common, and it's because we don't have very powerful, vibrant, or effective institutions in Nigeria that you have some of these things happening.
But that should
Because-
not be the case.
Because
Should that be the
it
case?
shouldn't be the case, and it's an action that we should criticize and condemn in its totality, because it doesn't really portray us as people who respect our laws, and it has triple effect on even foreign investment in Nigeria. Because for an investor who wants to come in and invest, he looks at the legal regime and how major players in that country respect their own laws. Therefore, if you are telling me that, okay, this is the protection the law offers me, and I'm coming in to invest, I then look at how is the justice system in your country. How are the main players respecting the laws of their country? So when you disobey our laws grossly and in total disregard, with reckless abandon, then it doesn't really portray us as good people or people whom should be trusted when it comes to doing business. So we have lawmakers who are supposed to be, the makers, of our laws. But unfortunately, you can see across this country that most of the physical fight that are even in public domain is masterminded by our lawmakers. You see them fight physically. One happened recently in Cross River State and all that, where some were giving orders blues, and even at the National Assembly we had our own fair share of such fight for personal interests of the lawmakers, not really for the overall interest of the people. Because now we are talking about minimum wage. Labor went on strike. Have we seen any serious engagement on the part of the National Assembly with the members of the executive on the need to accede to some of these pressing needs or demands of labor? You will not see such fight, right? But when it concerns their own selfish interest, then it's an all fight for all, and then you will see the robust engagement. When it has to even go physical, they do that conveniently.
So let me borrow the words of Barrister Badi when he was talking. The law is an ass. Yeah.
And I sincerely agree with it.
Let's look at this part of our discussion. That is, as we're talking about this, let us not forget that right here at home, we had a case that looked similar in some aspects. Local government chairmen in the state here were taken off their seats. You can remember that. So as we're talking about this, I want us to generally talk about how the local government administration has suffered in this country, Nigeria. The issue of autonomy has been debated over the years. This time around, we're happy that it is the president himself that has joined forces with whoever is concerned to take this matter to the court. And the Supreme Court is working on this. I don't know whether it's going to be... Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. I don't know whether you're true.
Yes, what I was trying to say here, what can we do to pull the local government system completely? It's not just by mere pronouncement of autonomy. What can we do to make the local government system completely independent and operationally viable?
Since the return of Nigeria to democracy in 1999, the legislature in this country, both the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly, have failed the local government system. They have all failed. And by that, I mean our constitution, since the return of Nigeria back to democracy, has undergone 5 amendments.
Without looking at that matter.
Yes. 5 amendments. And throughout these amendment procedures or amendment regime, pursuant to Section 9 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which has given the National Assembly the powers to alter the Constitution, they have failed us in giving their 2/3 and the state houses of assembly have equally failed the entire Nigerian in giving their two-third resolution for Section 7 of the Constitution to be amended and Section 62 of the Constitution to be amended. They have failed us. And I cannot agree less.
What does Section 62 say?
The issue of joint accounts.
Okay, the jack.
The jack.
Okay.
They have failed us. And I cannot agree less with my colleague when he said that when it borders on the interest of the legislatures or the legislators, their personal interest, you see a robust engagement. But when it borders on the generality, or if it is going to affect the common good of the general public, it doesn't interest them much.
So in essence, you're saying that they have to represent themselves.
It should not be the executive leading the conversation for local government improvement in local government system. It shouldn't be the executive leading that conversation. It should be the legislature. It should be the National Assembly. It should be the National Assembly, because the powers of constitutional amendment, alteration of the Constitution, is bestowed on them in Section 9 of the Constitution. They have failed. Even when the 8th Assembly made serious attempt to amend the Constitution and give way for local government autonomy, all the state houses of assembly members declined. They declined their resolution, two-third resolution to that effect.
So who is strangulating the local government?
The legislature, because they have failed. The legislature in this country have failed to a very large extent in manifesting one of the powers of the National Assembly, which is lawmaking.
How about the governors?
Also argue that
how about the governors?
The local government
if the law is there, if the Constitution is amended, the governors or the executive will have no choice. It is because the State House of Assembly members have given them a choice. And the local government, now look at it. I challenge, sometimes I challenge the legislatures in this country. And at our state level, I challenge them. When they go to the governor, what do they tell the governor? Yes, I commend them that this current legislature, I've seen quite a number, up to 10 bills they have passed. But it's beyond that. We have laws like the construction law of Benue State, the road construction law of Benue State, which has given us every state house of assembly member, go and read section 4 of that law. It has given every state house of assembly member the powers to nominate one feeder road in his or her constituency to be included in the state appropriation. How many of them even know? So when they go for their budget retreat, what do they discuss? What did they discuss during their budget retreat?
Let us look at the real problem here. It's like we are scratching.
And no, that is the issue.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be the executive, it shouldn't be the presidency leading conversation towards improving the local government system. But if the president has done that, and like my colleague has said, the judiciary will be bold to that, we give credence or we give credit to them and the
yes.
But it shouldn't be. It should have been the National Assembly.
I would want us to touch the problem directly, because from what I have observed, we're only scratching the problem on the back.
Okay.
I will take these questions and I would want your answers briefly. Is the legislative arm of government truly independent in Nigeria at the state and federal level? It's a question to you, Barrister Bayo.
Why will you say they are not independent?
No, I only ask, are they independent?
Of course they are independent.
Good.
They are independent.
Good. The next question is, I would want you to jumble this together and talk to us. The next question is, would you say outrightly that the judiciary, which we have acclaimed as the common hope, as the hope of the common man, is truly independent in the real sense of the word in this country?
Well, it depends on how you are looking at it.
No. I just the same way you answered on the legislative arm. That's the way I expect you to answer on this one.
Yes.
Are you independent?
And now asked me, if you ask me that,
Yes.
if you ask me that, the judiciary, the atmosphere under which they discharge their duties, is it the same atmosphere?
No.
Hold
I'm
on.
giving the question back to
Hold
you.
on. I'll answer your question.
It's all right.
I'll answer your question.
Yes.
And over the years, the issue of 13% derivative that all the littoral states today are enjoying is a product of judicial pronouncement.
Yes. Fine. Yeah. Very perfect.
It's a product of judicial pronouncement.
Good. You have still not answered it.
The issue, I'm coming.
Hey, go ahead.
The issue, the sustenance of our democracy today, the improvement we have enjoyed in our democracy today, that has given rise to amendment of our electoral acts, has been the product of judicial pronouncement.
Good. A lot we have enjoyed from the judiciary. A lot, and we're still
under a very tight atmosphere.
Yes.
Under a very tight atmosphere.
Now,
hold on.
go ahead.
And let's not forget, I don't like it when people begin to accuse the judiciary. Not that I hold
This
brief.
is not an accusation.
Hold on, I'm coming.
Question.
I'm
It's not an
coming.
accusation
No,
at all.
I understand.
Yes.
Not that I'm holding brief for the judiciary.
Yes.
Not that I'm holding brief for the judiciary.
Good.
But if you look at it, those we have saddled with the judiciary does not make law. They only adjudicate. They only interpret the law.
Good.
So if we have bad laws in this country, who should we blame? Our legislators. Those are the people who should share the blame. Hold on.
You are brought
Just a
another
minute.
question.
Just
Let's
a
not
minute.
forget.
Just a minute.
It's all right.
If our institution have failed, that is because the legislature has equally failed to perform their oversight functions. If the institutions are failing, including the judiciary, if they have failed, that's because they have also failed to perform their oversight functions.
Very well.
But if you put it on the scale, who will you say has failed this country the most? It is the National Assembly.
Very well.
It is the legislature. Because oftentimes the robust engagement we expect from them, we don't get it. The three main thematic areas of their performance, of their duties, they don't do it effectively. Lawmaking, which is legislation, effective representation, and oversight functions. If it is that one, if it is an issue that we confer media status on them, they are quick at jumping at it. But when it comes to robust engagement with the people, which will guarantee effective representation, you don't see it. Over the time, until the president, until the executive pushed for the increment of judicial officers, it was never an engagement that started from the National Assembly.
It's right. Now, I'm happy that you have been able to drive your points on, but I also want to inform you very clearly that you didn't answer my question, Barrister.
Why?
I know you for one who is forward answering questions.
The issue
hold on.
relative.
No, hold on. Barrister, by your
what?
hold on. I know you as someone who is vocal and would say it the way it is. You have not been able to call a spade in this question.
Like
I am going to rephrase the question.
It's a relative issue. Yes, it's relative. It's relative because if the judiciary has not given the interpretation people expect on a particular principle of law. And remember, we have said this from our opening statement.
Yes.
That sometimes the law is what? An ass.
Yes.
And oftentimes,
no, I like your definition.
Oftentimes, is seen as an instrument in the hands of the bourgeoisie.
Yes.
So these people feel that they can use the law to control the judiciary. And when the judiciary said no, you can't control us in that manner, they go about criticizing the judiciary.
I
And I have not said,
Okay.
in one way or the other, the judiciary may not have failed.
Yes.
In one way or the other.
No. We're not talking about the failure or otherwise of the
Yes, in one way or the other,
Yes.
they may not have
Good.
lived up to expectation.
Yes.
But that does not mean that the burden, the blame for the inefficiency, and the lackadaisicness of the National Assembly and the executive be blamed on the judiciary.
Barrister, I know that your disposition on this question is quite ambivalent, but you have to answer the question as it is, because I know you have the answers to the question. And I'm still throwing, I would have directed the question back to Barrister Ahmad Timin. You share almost the same philosophy about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you know exactly the problem of this country. I am still giving back the question to you. Can you say authoritatively, without mincing words, that the members of the bar and bench in this country are independent when it comes to exercising their lawful duties as the interpreters of the law?
It depends on how you are looking at it.
No.
It's a yes or no question.
I want a straight answer.
It's a question that can never receive a yes or no answer.
Okay, fine. Now, Barrister Ahmad Timin, I know very well that once your colleague gets a bit argumentative, there is he's one person who doesn't allow skeletons hidden in the cupboard. He's trying to do one here, but I wouldn't agree with that. Please tell us, can you say here very clearly, because we are looking at how we can be a solution to the problem of the local government administration. If they are to enjoy independence, then it means the three arms of government need to work hand in hand, and you are part of the three arms. Are you sure you are enjoying the required independence that would have given you the impetus to exercise your own duties as members to interpret the law? Let's be very straight with the answer.
Now, it's actually a very dicey state of affair, and that accounted for why my brother and colleague was to some extent evasive on the issue.
Good.
You know, the truth is that do we have financial autonomy for the judiciary? It's an issue that can be debated from morning to night.
So that's a no.
Right? Now, it is a no. Now, it has been an ongoing conversation where, and it's deliberate. It's deliberate because when you look at the state level, when the chief executive, acquires utility cars for the judges, I am always worried, because the Constitution has guaranteed the independence of the judiciary. It has guaranteed that. Now, the head of the court at the state or the federal level should be in charge of all this process. So when you see the state governor, for instance, or the president buying cars and then giving to judges, I see that as an infraction.
But they've come out to say that in no way bears any influence on what they expect
now,
to do.
I see a situation where why not have a budget for the judiciary and funds meant for them be channeled to the heads of court to execute this project, right? The same way the judiciary does not buy cars for the executive and the lawmakers, same treatment should be given to the judiciary. So it shouldn't be a state of affair where the governor, from whatever source he gets the money, because I strongly believe that all expenditures or official expenditures of government must be budgeted for, right? So if a budget is made for a year for the three arms of government,
Yes.
then what is meant for the respective arms of government should be channeled to those arms of government,
Has that been
and
done?
they be allowed, right? In Benue State, we are just experiencing that because I heard the chief judge confirm that they have been given their own autonomy, financial autonomy, and we must appreciate the governor for that move, because it took a court action for some, even at the federal level, for them to begin to,
are yet to
some are yet to give effect to that. So you have a situation where if there is a state function where the governor is attending, the chief judge, even when he has no serious business there, must be seen. We had instances where some even go to the airport to welcome the governor, which ought not to be so, right? So we have some issues, but we are hoping that as we continue to engage the major players in the system and then insist on the right things to be done, we'll have a better system. Recall, in this country, we had the state houses of assembly voting against their own financial autonomy in the past. You know, just imagine someone saying, "No, I don't want freedom. Please, I want to be a slave." Right? So for the very first time, the House of Assembly voted against.
So you agree
because
with Barrister Bagio's submission that the legislators are actually our problem?
I agree with him, hook, line, and sinker. Because if you look at it, the President of the United States, Jefferson, once said something that the most powerful among these arms of government is even the legislature. Because if you look at it, the executive can only implement laws passed by the lawmakers. The courts can only interpret laws passed by the lawmakers. So that tells you how powerful. And then in the execution of their oversight function, they can call upon any of these arms of government to come on account. Because if a budgetary provision is made, for instance, for the judiciary, it is incumbent on the lawmakers to be interested in how much has been expended on what, whether it's in compliance with the budget they appropriated for. So you see how powerful the lawmakers are, right?
So do you believe that they're actually doing us a disservice?
They have failed this country. They have failed this country. And if the State House of Assembly at the state level choose to be a rubber stamp, association in the hands of the government, then it's very unfortunate.
Then how do we get out of
now, interestingly, it is in this country in 1999 that we have a very vibrant engagement at that level. In fact, there was a time we had a very powerful majority leader in Benue, in person of Timothy Ocho.
Yes.
Right? Very vocal on issues. And in 1999, interestingly, we had a very robust engagement at the local government level. Yeah. And over time, the thing is dwindling, going down. And then you can't even comprehensively or conclusively discuss the issue without looking at the Constitution. The Constitution has created a problem.
Why do you say so?
Section 7 that has given recognition to the local government council,
yes,
in itself is a contradiction. Now you are saying that the system of democratically elected local government council is hereby guaranteed. Now there is a caveat that empowers the houses of assembly to determine the tenure, to determine the finance and the structure of the local government. What stopped the Constitution from providing comprehensively what ought to be? As we speak today, we don't have uniform tenures for the local government in Nigeria. We don't. Rivers have 3 years. In Benue, we have 2 years by the local government law of Benue State. So these are very interesting times. So the governor can wake up today through the House of Assembly, shorten the tenure of the local government. Okay, it is 2 years. We used to have 3 years in Benue.
It was 4 years.
Yes, 4 years. It was shortened to 3 years. It came down to 2. We don't know whether when we wake up tomorrow, it may come down to 1. Now, the Constitution have guaranteed some tenures at the state level. Now, the local government has been left to wallow and suffer. And the performance, no wonder, the third tier of government is underperforming in this country. In fact, our local government administrative councils are salary-paying platforms. They don't execute projects most times because funds are not even made available to them. Courtesy of Section 162 of the Constitution that has provided for funds that are meant for the local government to pass through JAC. And then whatever that is released to them, only God knows what happens, whether they really get what is coming from the federal allocation. Now, interestingly, that same Section 7 of the Constitution have gone ahead to provide 2 contradictory positions, empowering the National Assembly to determine how the federal allocation of the local government is administered, and then at the same time empowering the State House of Assembly under the same section to equally play the same role. Now you look at those bunch of contradictions. Now, as we speak, we are supposed to have councillors at the local government level, yes, making laws, yes, bylaws, yes, for the administration of the local government. Yes. But most times the State House of Assembly have taken over that function. They can wake up today to suspend any local government administration at the local government level.
Thanks to the caveat in Section 7 of the Constitution.
Now, interestingly, because they have been empowered. So you see, when governors begin to bring in caretaker administration, it is provided under the state law, right? Now, it is the same constitution that have given them the powers, that you determine the tenure, you determine the structure, the finance of the local government, right? Now, they can wake up today and then through the House of Assembly suspend, just like what happened in Benue, where those who were, in quote, democratically elected were suspended for financial misappropriation and all that, after the State House of Assembly investigated them. And then there were recommendations made to the governor, and then he implemented that. Now, as we speak, if we have a similar state of affairs between the federal government and the state, where the president can wake up today and then say, oh, Mr. Governor, because of financial misappropriation, you are hereby suspended. When it wasn't the president that elected the governor, but the people. And when we have the people electing local government chairmen as opposed to the governor, then it's an unhealthy situation. And guess what? Amending those sections of the Constitution has really been an issue, because most times when such amendments are proposed by the National Assembly, sent to the various State House of Assembly for their two-third concurrence of that amendment, such amendment do not see the light of the day.
So, Barrister Amatimi, what do you think is let me take a bit further. What do you think is the implication of the Supreme Court reserving judgment on that case of the local government autonomy, which Barrister Begio said it should have not been the executive championing that cause, it should have been the National Assembly. So what do you think is the implication of that?
Now, there is a very interesting angle to even this conversation that Nigerians may not even have averted their mind to.
Go ahead.
The current Attorney General of the Federation had defended governors on a similar suit that borders on local government autonomy. Today, he is Attorney General of the Federation. He has taken a different position. And that tells you the inconsistency in our leaders. He had defended state governors against giving financial autonomy to the local government. Today, is a person crying in court. But without preempting what the court will say, my learned friend will appreciate the likely outcome of that decision, because it is a constitutional problem. It is a constitutional problem. So for me, the federal government,
the matter is subject.
Exactly, and unfortunately, we will still need to do the needful, because we have issues with our constitution.
We have to establish this very clearly, Barrister Bagyo.
Yeah.
From what you have said, chunk of the blame you had apportioned to the legislative arm.
Yeah.
I was trying to put a rope around the members of the bar and bench when it comes to independence and all of that. But let's look at it now from the position he has taken.
Yes.
It seems as though the problem may not actually rest with the legislative arm. Don't you think the governors have done a lot of harm to the local government administration? Let's call a spade a spade.
Yes, the local government, the governors, I agree with you to a very large extent that the governors have done a lot of harm. But again, through what instrumentality are they doing that? It's the State House of Assemblies. They are the ones that have empowered, emboldened, and given the governor the legality to whatever illegal thing the governors may have been doing. If not, the issue of local government autonomy has gone through the State Houses of Assembly. So when they sit in their forum of speakers of Houses of Assembly, what do they discuss? Because oftentimes that is where those kind of decisions are taken. And they decline their vetoes. I mean, their two-third resolutions to that. I never saw the light of the day. Now, the last constitutional amendment has given rise to the issue of autonomy to State House of Assembly. And there has also been subsidiary or state legislations that have equally given credence to that constitutional amendment. If today the State House of Assembly members are crying that they don't like the legislative autonomy that has been granted to them by the governor, what does that tell you? They say be independent, but you say you will not be independent. And the judiciary is glad and bold enough to say, yes, for us, we have received the financial autonomy So if the governor decides that, okay, as a matter of magnanimity, not for any interest purpose sake.
Why the emphasis on financial autonomy? Aren't you thinking about other areas of independence?
Because
how about the
interference?
How about the interference?
It is all these things we're talking lies in section 80 and 82 of the Constitution. Let everybody draw from the pool, from the consolidated revenue pool. Let everybody draw from there. So if everybody is drawing from there, you determine what you want to do, you determine your budget, you determine your infrastructural growth, you determine the welfare of judicial staff or legislative staff. Isn't it not better? That is what we should be thinking about. And if tomorrow the legislature can afford to look at the governor in the face and tell the Mr. Governor, on this policy you are wrong. Unfortunately, our state houses of assembly members don't even engage the governors on matters of economic policies. Unfortunately, most of them are just subservient under the governor, which is not supposed to be so.
But they will argue that most of the time the purview of their responsibility is mostly towards making laws. They don't have any impact on economic issues.
Is it not a state house of assembly in 1992 that made the construction law that said we state houses of assembly members can nominate feeder roads in our budget to be included in the budget? So we have how many state houses of assembly members here? 30. So if for 4 years our legislators are nominating one feeder road, 30 multiplied by 4, that is 120, and it's a matter of law. So the governor has no option. So imagine 120 feeder roads across our communities. Issues of appropriation. These are areas that we expect the legislators to engage the state house, the governors on. That is what we expect of them, because the soul of this country lies in either the good laws they made or the bad laws they made. The soul of this country lies in whether or not, when they go for oversight function, they are interested in raising queries regarding financial infractions, infrastructural deficits, the need for infrastructural upgrades. If they are asking those questions, then we will say they have the soul of this state or country. Yes. But if they are interested in the brown envelopes, they are interested in roofing their uncompleted houses, they are interested in thinking of after exiting office, they don't want to go back to where they were before, then it's wrong. And I always say this, we have come to that point where we have to begin to develop and live along political maturity.
That's right.
Leadership selection must be based on performance indicators.
It's okay.
From your antecedents to the current status quo before you can be elected.
It's all right. So now we are gradually coming to the end of our conversation. That for the sake of the purpose of records, it's 32 members that we have here.
Oh, 32 members.
Yes, yes. Okay. Some other local government have to, like Oju, they have to.
Yeah.
It's for the sake of records. So now let's look at this. We have if the legislative arm and the judiciary cannot attain full independence, where becomes the place of the local government? Do you think they will truly, even if they are given that independence they are clamoring for, do you think they will stand a chance to enjoy that independence they're looking for? If these two arms of government are not independent in themselves.
And that lies the challenge we have. You know, if you look at the whole issue, we have 774 local governments in Nigeria. And that gives you a very wider representation or scope. And if we have functional local governments, then you can imagine the level of development that will strive at the rural communities where the large population reside. But because that area has been undermined for a very long period of time, check this. When governors are alleged or accused of investment of public funds, the large chunk of such money comes from local government. And that accounts for why the Bureau of Local Government, who is always manned by an advisor, is more powerful than some ministries. Now, just imagine a scenario like this, that funds that are not meant for you, money meant for Japheth, you are insisting that it should pass through you, then you hand over to Japheth. For me, it's a double traffic. You just want to suffer yourself for nothing. You are not benefiting, and you claim you are not benefiting, right? So why not allow Japheth to access his money directly from the source? But the Constitution has created that problem. Now, is it that we don't trust the manpower at the local government enough to take care of itself? Why create a joint account? Right? So that has been an issue, and I wonder the framers of our Constitution how they came up with that idea. Because recall that it was in 1979 that we introduced the local government administration constitutionally in Nigeria. Now, even before this time, we have native authorities. And recall that even then, we have native police. Even then, in the pre-colonial era, we have native police. And I know of a lot of issues that these people were handling. But today, we have muzzled the local government. We have, kept them in a state where they can't even breathe. And that accounts for why only the favorite of the governor will win election at the local government level most times. And it's more of a selection process. Just some few states in Nigeria, the likes of the Kaduna, when they conducted the local government election, few opposition won some few local governments and all that. But in the time past, even here in Benue, it was an announcement thing, where most times you see the opposition not even participating in the election. So you begin to wonder the interest. If the funds meant for the local government are not being siphoned or used by the state, why insist that such funds should pass through the state? The local government should get their own funds. And the whole idea of having democratically elected people manage the local government should equally give the people at the local government level a sense of belonging. Right? Now, interestingly, there's something that plays out when you look at the local government administration. Number one, their elections are conducted by the state independent electoral commission.
Why not INEC?
Now, interestingly, before 1999, it was INEC that conducted the local government election in Nigeria.
What happened?
Right?
There
was a change by the constitutional provision. Now, interestingly, all the state independent electoral commission, they rely on INEC data, voter register, to conduct local government elections. So the state independent electoral commission does not have its own independent register. They depend on INEC and even INEC voters card. Because if you are going to vote at the local government election, you bring your voters card issued to you by INEC. So you look at the whole state of affairs. And for me, it's an unhealthy situation. So we need an independent and a democratic state setup at the local government level.
Yes.
And then the councillors should be in charge to superintend, to monitor and question, discipline and suspend the local government chairman or impeach when they run foul of our laws. It shouldn't be the State House of Assembly. Superintending. What is the essence of having local government councillors?
It's all right.
So,
let's take the matter back to Rivers. Because that's where we
I
have
wanted to ask, what is the way out of all this quagmire? Yeah.
Well, the only way out is constitutional amendment. That's the only thing that will put an end to all of this. Yes, the judiciary is already in the process of making a judicial pronouncement. But that will not be enough. The judicial pronouncement will not be enough without the constitutional amendment. The issue of local government autonomy lies in the National Assembly and the State Houses of Assembly to follow the procedures provided by the Constitution in Section 9 of the Constitution to give effect to the democratic system of local government. Once that is done, all of this will be over. That's the only solution.
It's all right.
Other than that, we can continue to engage in healthy conversations like this that will drive towards that process.
It's all right. So now we will have to go back to Rivers because we took the flight from Rivers and we went across the 23 local government. Now we have to come back to Rivers. The question would be, who do we have to blame for the political atmosphere in Rivers State? Blames must be given. And for one to be identified as the culprit, we need to tell the truth to the world. And these are the people who are causing the problem. Is it Governor Fubara? Is it Governor Nyesin Ezonwa-Wike? Because if you ask him, he will also say he's fighting for his fundamental right and all of that. So who do we think should be blamed for the troubles and the unrest in Rivers State? Let's begin from you, Barrister.
Maybe I'll even give a wider scope to it. Maybe we'll blame the Nigerian system for the situation that is playing out in Rivers State. If not, if we have respect for our laws in this country, and individuals equally know that once you run foul of our law, there are sanctions, there are consequences for your action. People will be very mindful of their actions. Now, I have heard the former governor of the state saying that he bought nomination forms for all the Houses of Assembly members and even National Assembly members from his state. Now, Nigerians have not bothered to question him the source from where he got those funds. And then, does that really portray us as people who are serious about democracy? Because if one individual could raise funds, sponsor some persons to elective position, then what are we expecting? It is for them to do his bidding. No wonder what is playing out in Rivers State. You see a local government chairman confronting the governor in a very condescending manner on issues, because he or she knows that he is connected to a very powerful politician. And I've heard where some even persons came on television assuring the lawmakers who defected that they were not going to lose their seat. Right? Now that tells you that as opposed to having powerful institutions, as opposed to respecting the rule of law, we have the rule of man in Nigeria. That's why I take the blame to the Nigerian system. Else, the people should be allowed to freely elect leaders of their choice. And when such leaders are freely elected by the people, they are accountable to the people on policy issues. So at the moment, how then do you begin to discuss the fight between a godfather and a godson? Because Fubara, to my mind, is a godson to Wiki.
That's all right. Barrister Bagyo, just briefly, a few seconds. What do you have to say about that? Who do you blame?
Who should take the blame? Because he didn't want to come out and say categorically that it was Barrister Wiki.
Okay, yes. they say when two elephants fight, the ground suffers, or the grass suffers rather. Yeah. I think this issue is a very straightforward issue, and I said it in my opening statement that it's more or less a political ego issue, because everybody wants to manifest his ego here. Yes, just like, let me borrow the words of His Lordship, the Bishop of Boko Diocese, that when you assist a man in pushing his broken vehicle and the vehicle starts, what do? You wave at him and you allow him to enjoy his ride. You know, so in as much as Governor Wike, His Excellency Governor Wike, may have in one way or the other assisted Governor Fubara to be in office, it's not also enough to say you exert influence on him, overbearing influence on him, because doing that would be at the detriment of the people. And just like I said, except there is a political pact both of them signed, and one of them had gone contrary to it, then this problem can equally be solved. Because His Excellency Governor Wike can, at the level God has placed him, play a fatherly role to say, well, in as much as
not a godfather role.
Yeah, a fatherly role, not a godfather role.
You see him playing that fatherly role.
That's what I'm saying, that he can choose to play that fatherly role to say, well, even though as a son you have wronged me, I'm still willing to let go, for the interest of the state. All these things we are discussing here, we cannot in any way begin to justify the personal interest of those people. Saying that is very, very wrong. Both of them are wrong. Yes, both of them, both Nyesom Wike and Governor Fubara, are wrong to some extent. You understand? But
so
if
no
they
one is more wrong.
If they place their loyalty in favor of the state, then we will not see all this political.
And you also agree that there's no need for the president to actually intervene in all of this?
Why would the president be bothered?
Because APC is calling for a state of emergency.
That is why I'm saying, except I've said this in my opening analysis, that except if there is a perceived political benefit to this political quagmire in Rivers State. Other than that, I don't see any reason why anybody should bother the president.
It's all right. Well,
this is something that the two parties can bury their ego and resolve amicably in the interest of the generality of the people of Rivers State.
Very well. I must appreciate you, gentlemen. And that has also brought us to the words of the former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, and of course, former senator and former Guba candidate of the state. That's talking about Senator B.A.I. Gemade at Akume Atongu Stadium just precisely 2 days ago, when he said Governor Alia cannot have a godfather, he can only have a father. And I'm quoting directly his words because I was there. And so I also feel if states have begun staying away from the issue of godfatherism, Rivers State should not be an exception. It's on this premise that we have to say goodbye. But I must appreciate you very warmly, Barrister Bagyo Joseph, for being back here in the studios more powerfully. I appreciate you for coming. Yeah.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure.
Yes. Next time you will still go back to that question on independence. I'd like to thank you very warmly, and Barrister Amatimi, Timothy, for being here, also being very vocal enough to present issues the way they are. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And so we'll have to let you go at this point so we could get back shortly after the break to take the papers, and thereafter we'll call it a wrap on the show. Please keep watching Benue Television. Welcome back to the studios of Benue Television, and we briefly take a look at the papers, and thereafter we say goodbye. First, I would like to take the blueprint paper here, and the front, paper here talks about a very important topic here. Police recruitment depends PSC IGP crisis. Okay, police recruitment deepens PSC IGP crisis. Sorry about that. And the Commission Workers Union wants Egbetokun sacked. Human Resource Expert 6 investigation. And we also have the last one. Intensify efforts to secure Nigeria. CAA's charges commanders. That's all coming from the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
From Leadership newspaper above the newspaper masthead, we have alleged terrorism. Kanu opts for out of court settlement. This is on page 12. Article in Mina holds talks with IBB Abdusalami. This is interesting. Page 16. Now the lead story here, uneasy, I beg your pardon, repealed Emirate law. Uneasy calm in Kano as court rules today. Rider APC NMPP on warpath over Caucasus allocations. Another rider, don't throw Kano into anarchy. This you'll find on page 4, and this is it from the Leadership newspaper.
And so let's talk about the Daily Sun newspaper. Nigeria under me, better than today's. Obasanjo, you can find that on page 29. And NCDC panics over cholera spread. And then alert state governments on safety measures. Lagos issues health advisory to parents and schools. Then Fubara inaugurates a caretaker committee chairman, directs audit of 23 local government accounts. That's all coming from the Daily Sun newspaper.
Now from the Vanguard, above the newspaper masthead again, we have Naira depreciation makes Lagos to Abuja cheapest global cities for expatriates. Now this is interesting. This is on page 4. Cholera outbreak. Federal government may declare emergencies from the NCDC DG as some parents prevent children from going to school. This is on page 10. And Edo Guba, PDP expels Shaibu Obi, cites anti-party activities. You'll find on page 4. Page 7, I beg your pardon. Now the lead story from the Vanguard. Minimum wage, why governors, others are for dragging. A lot of riders may retrench workers, need bailouts to pay. Pushes for new act to cover employees with minimum of 200 workers. Senator Wadada begs Tinubu to approve 150,000 naira. Says lawmakers willing to fine. I beg your pardon. Says lawmakers willing to make sacrifices. You find on page 5 of the Vanguard, and this is it from the Vanguard.
And so this is where we have to say goodbye. Very many thanks for being with us thus far. This is Daybreak Benue. We shall make a return here sometime for another equally thrilling edition of the program. Many thanks. My name is Japhet Waho.
Thank you for having a pleasant time with us on the show. My name is Mourinho. Do stay tuned for the rest of the show on Benue Television. Have a pleasant day.